Hi, PG girls, and welcome to another edition of the PG podcast. Did the doorbell just ring?
Yes.
Okay, good. We're gonna put it in here. So, if you're listening in your earbuds, welcome to the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, it's always more fun to watch. Today, I want to talk to you for a few minutes on what to do when you feel like quitting. So we've decided that there are probably going to be a few distractions during this podcast. We try to make it really neat and nice and clean in the studio for you, but just having not been in my office for a couple weeks has made me realize it's so not like me to have everything perfect and all the ducks lined up and no distractions, and my life really does not look like that. My life is so busy and so distracted so many of the times that it's more organic to let people just come and go and the doors move the way they want to. So if you see any distractions during this podcast, please excuse us, but that's the way the cookie crumbles around here. Anyway, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had those days when you just wanted to quit? Give up. That's it. And I'm not talking suicide here. I mean, I know we all have had those times when we didn't want to wake up in the morning. I know that suicide is a real and definite problem. And if you are a PG girl, that you are battling with those kinds of thoughts right now, please know that you're not alone. But not only that, reach out to me, because there are people in our community that are equipped to help you and that can counsel you and that can offer you advice and love and encouragement when you go through those situations, because it is serious and we want to make sure that you are well taken care of, not just through prayer but in real life. What is that? The sprinkler guy is here. So the giving up and the quitting I'm talking about is more like when you're trying to, or when you're feeling like quitting on your dreams or quitting on your goals or quitting on your life, your marriage, or whatever it is that you've worked so hard to build. And I know let me tell you something, we all have those days. We have those days when it's just too much, when you are like, I don't know if this is worth it. I don't know if this business, this PhD, this whatever it is that you are working on that has just really taken you to your edge right now, and you feel like just throwing in the towel and that life would be easier if you didn't do this, then this podcast is going to help you. In three short steps, I'm going to show you how to shake that quitting feeling. So if you're ready, let's go. So the first thing I want you to do, if you feel like quitting something, whatever that thing you're thinking about quitting is, whether it's your job, your studies, your PhD, your business, your ministry, whatever it is that's making you feel like, you know what, this is not working, I'm going to give this up. I want you to go grab a piece of paper and I want you to write down what it would look like if this thing you're pursuing actually succeeded. This is not a vision board. This is not a calling things into existence. This is not a God make it happen moment. This is just you trying to look at what your life would look like if this thing you're pursuing actually worked. If your business succeeded and you became financially independent. If your PhD, you did do your thesis and you did publish and you did get that PhD, what would it mean for you if your business exploded, if your video went viral, if your ministry doubled this year? What would it look like? What would that success look like to you? And I need you to write that down. Hi, Ruthie.
Hi.
That's Ruthie. Yeah, we're back in our office, so Ruthie can come in and go say hello.
Bye.
Come here.
They can see you.
They couldn't see, they can only see your tummy.
Oh.
Ruthie, for those of you that put questions on the podcast for her last week, thank you so much, and congratulations to Andira. She won our bracelet, and Ruthie did such a fantastic job of compiling those questions. Shania helped her, and your answers are all on Facebook. So thank you guys, and we'll have Ruthie come back and give us a synopsis when all of this is finally done.
Yes.
Love you too.
Love you.
Be there in a minute. So yeah, write down what success would look like to you if this thing worked. If you stuck at your business and you weren't in the dump that you are now, but it actually started doing what you wanted to do. And if you realize that you don't know what that success looks like, no wonder you feel like quitting. No wonder you don't want to pursue it, because you have nothing to work towards. Let me tell you something. Nobody begins a race without first knowing what the finish line looks like. It's so important that you know where you're ending, whether it's your PhD, whether it's ministry, whether it's a relationship, whatever it is success looks like to you. You need to write that down so you have something to work for. Somebody said a long time ago that success is on the razor edge of failure. And the word razor there is purposeful. You know what it means? It means just before you think you're gonna die. It is so painful. That moment just before your breakthrough is so hard that most people don't make it. They quit there. When it gets too tough, they give up and they walk away. Trust me, I've heard a million times preachers say, if I could do anything else, I would do it. But honey, if it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth going after. But whenever you feel like just throwing in the towel and you say, God, I can't do this one more day. Can you just trust me? Can you just trust me to realize that God says if you would just hold on and keep pushing towards your goal, keep working towards it, give it one more shot, then you're on the other side, which is success. So that's the first thing. Write down what a win, what the finish looks like for you. And remember, that even Jesus, do you know in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? That was just before the win. It was there that he was closest to giving up. You might say, well, Jesus never gave up. You know what he said? He said, Father, take this cup, take it, I don't want to do it. You know what that is? That's the sound of wanting to give up. But if he had just given up on the hardest night, he would not have made it all the way to the cross, which, by the way, was a win. It was a win. The second thing, if you feel like quitting today, I need you to go back in your memory for a moment. I have to do this all the time. There are many days I feel like quitting. I love my church. I love my life. I love my family. But there are so many times when I sit by myself and I say, Lord, I can't take one more day. It gets too hard. People are too fickle. Relationships are so painful sometimes that I just want to quit too. Really, and when you're in ministry and when you're a pastor, I'm telling you, those pains are so hard, because the more you pour into people and the more you invest in people and the more you give of yourself, it seems like the more easily it is for people to hurt you and betray you. So of course there are times when I want to quit. But in those times, then I remember what is tip number 2. I have to remember why I started in the first place. Why did I begin? Why did I plant this church? Why did I make a decision to go back to school? Why? What was my reason? Because you see, that reason, if it's not strong enough, you won't finish. If the reason was to make a name for yourself, you won't finish. To get the accolades of another human being, you won't finish, because none of those things are big enough reasons. But if your reason for wanting to do something was important and you're passionate about it, then you've got to go back to why you started. If you know why you started, it will give you the strength you need for that. And let me tell you something, when you're ready to quit, you don't need something to take you all the way to the edge. You just need something to give you a tiny push forward. Just one more reason to take a breath or take a step or do something. And that is why you must remember why you started in the first place. I know why I started Hope NYC. I know why I started the PG community. It was a God-given mandate. I didn't do it because I had to. No. I hear people say all the time, well, if I hate ministry and I hate preaching, and well, then don't do it. That wasn't why I did it, because God called me and I didn't have a choice. It wasn't that at all. God called me and I wanted to do it. I did it because there is a need in the community of women pastors and women ministers to know that you belong here, you have a right to be here, that God empowers you and uses you and anoints you and calls you and will give you all of the benefits of the kingdom just like he would anybody else. That's why I'm doing this, and to me that's worth it. To me that's worth pushing through when I feel like giving up. Same thing with this ministry right here. Why did it begin? Because there is a need to equip leadership and laborers in the harvest in this part of the United States of America. That's why. And that is enough to keep me going on the days that I want to quit. So if you remember why you started, write it down. Write it down just below where you wrote how your success would look like. Write down, I started this because. And once that is strong enough, it's going to be the push that you need to keep going. If you feel like quitting, then revive your momentum. I learned this kind of organically. Ever since I was a little girl, I realized whenever I felt like quitting, all I needed to do was to get the ball rolling. I don't know how you do that in your life, but if you've lost momentum, then you've lost your power. And you've lost your passion. And 90% of the churches in the world, not just the United States of America, are running with no momentum. And the thing about momentum is that once it's moving, once you're going, it causes growth, it causes acceleration, it causes joy all by itself, and you don't feel like you're having to work. And it's not just church, it's in whatever you're doing. When you're making A's, and when you're doing well, when you're studying hard and getting good grades, then good grades just seem to be coming. But if you're failing, then you're going to fail some more and fail some more and fail some more, and you eventually fall into this slump. If you're making garbage to sell, then you'll continue to make garbage in your business. But if you're getting accolades for the quality of product you're delivering, then your quality will continually increase. John Maxwell gives an illustration that I like a lot. He says this. He says, if a train has momentum, it can plow through a 5-foot brick wall. If it's moving at its capacity, if it's moving with that kind of momentum, it will just burst through that wall and you won't ever know. You know, the conductor will go straight through the wall and be like, did we just hit something at the right speed? But if that train is stopped, a tiny little 1-inch block, a tiny little 1-inch block right by that wheel can stop that train from moving. Isn't that crazy? Same train could plow through a wall, and the same train could be stopped by something this small. What's the difference? It's momentum. Because once you're moving at a certain speed, nothing can stop you. And sometimes if you're feeling like quitting, it's because the people that you are around are slowing you down. You're pulling so hard. If you are a pastor today and your church has lost momentum, have you wondered whether if it's because the people that you are around are not moving and not working? And if that joy is gone from the ministry or gone from the business or gone from your family, then it constantly feels like you're carrying the weight of a whole train. But I'll tell you what, the Holy Spirit can give you the steam that you need to keep moving again. You need to find what motivates those that work with you. What is it that causes people to rise up and keep moving? What is it that causes your family to get excited? What is it that you know causes them to just regain that passion, ignite whatever you've lost? What is it that you're not doing that has caused you to lag? Maybe you're watching too much social media. Maybe you're spending too much time listening to podcasts and not actually doing anything that fixes your life. Maybe you're just wasting time on YouTube all the time. Those things do not add value to your life, and that causes your momentum to slow down. Lots of information doesn't change anybody unless that information gets implemented into your daily lives. Let me tell you something. If you are around people who won't push for what they want, you're around the wrong people. They are going to drag you down, I guarantee you. And so find out, one, what slowed you down to begin with. Find out if those who are with you, who are running with you, are running alongside of you, or if they're tied to you and you're dragging, because it will wear you out. It will wear you out. And finally, you know how you need to really adjust your momentum? Maybe you just need to pivot a little bit. Maybe you're running in this direction, but you're running against the wind, and maybe you just need to turn your body a little bit in another direction. Do something new. Put a little bit of spice in whatever you're doing. If something is not working, then try it from a different angle. You don't have to give up. You just have to try it from another perspective. Try something different. It will add a little bit of refreshing to you. And for God's sake, don't focus so much on all the negative people. So I said 3 things, and those are the 3 things. Those are my 3 best ways to tell you you can get over the quitting feeling. But here's a bonus, right? This one is a bonus, and this is one of my favorite ways to get out of that feeling, is to get around a 10. Get around a 10. And by that I mean get around somebody. Get on the phone with them, get on FaceTime with them, if you can get them for coffee, best plan ever. Get with somebody who has already succeeded in what you're trying to do. Get around a 10 as fast as you can, because I guarantee you they had that day too when they wanted to quit. And if you can find them, if they will give you the time of day, then sit down with them and say to them, talk to me, tell me, what do I do when this pervasive feeling of wanting to give up comes over me? And that person who's been through it will be able to help you. You might say, well, my 10 is Oprah Winfrey. Then you probably can't get a phone call with her, but go read her book. In other words, the people who have made it, they've already recorded it. They've told you how they've done it. Get that person who you know has overcome it, or get next to that person you know, where every time they speak, you feel like you can get up and do something. And then get up and do something. Get up and do something. Because what are you going to quit if you're doing nothing anyway? I love you so much. I love all of you PGs with all my heart, and that's because I know inside of every one of you, inside of every one of us, there's so much greatness that God meant for the world to see. But if we give up, nobody gets to see it. So today, just in case you're planning on quitting, just in case some of you didn't even start and you're already quitting, stop and fight hard. Anything that is worth having is worth fighting for. And I mean fighting till the day you die, fighting till there's no breath left in your lungs, fighting with every bit of energy and every ounce of sweat you have. And if you die in the process, let it be something that's so great that it was worth doing it. Right? And don't quit. Because if God calls you, nobody in the whole wide world, not even the devil himself, can ever uncall you. And he that invested in you and put that gifting in you, he's faithful to make sure that it comes to pass. And what he sees in your future is so magnificent that if you quit, we miss it. That's it. That's what I got. I love you. And I'll see you next week on the PG Podcast.